Welcome into a Friday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here from the UDL.
Good God.
Jesus.
He's ready.
Second hour coming up today. We're all guests. 8 a.m. this morning, Ben Mintz from Barstool Sports will stop by here. Mintz, you'll be talking about a new acquisition for Barstool as they acquire The Score going into football season, another part of their gaming operation. I was over at LeBear's last night, and shout out to the crew over at Kelly's Closet, Ron Richmond and his family, for having me out to MC their beautiful event last night. A packed room over at the ballroom at LeBear's, silent auction, live auction, a beautiful night raising money for his daughter who suffered from ovarian cancer and continues to touch so many people throughout our community. It was a fantastic night over at LeBear's, but one thing that you cannot not see when you walk into LeBear's now is all of the Barstool merchandise, all of the Barstool impressions, all of the Barstool memorabilia that is coming into LeBear's, which Penn Gaming, obviously, and the sports book should be coming pretty soon here with the legalization of sports gaming here in Louisiana. So lots to talk to Mintz about coming up here at 8 o'clock this morning, including the start of college football season, NFL last night. Finally, some football that we can talk about. La'el Collins back out on the field for for the Cowboys. He did not play all of last year after the hip injury. He was out there for an extended amount of time. And then Jabril Cox, my goodness, Cox was the leading tackler for the Dallas Cowboys last night as he had 5 tackles, 4 of those solo. Really looks like one of those new age NFL linebackers. Just flying around out there.
Flying around is a better way to put it. And now I'm understanding why your pipes sound like this. I didn't know you went to essentially the casino last night.
Yes.
So you taxed them pretty good already.
Yes, it was 2 hours of nonstop hacking and barking into a microphone last night. But it was a great night over at Kelly's Closet with the Richmonds and over at LeBear's. That is Lloyd. You hear Lloyd's voice. Lloyd is back.
Tan,
here
better than
on
ever.
This Friday. Not as tan as I thought you'd be, Lizzie. A little
I think I'm growing
up. Overzealous on the
I just give it
sunscreen.
I give it the spray. I don't really think about it too much, but I don't want to be sunburned. I know that because
that is miserable.
Once you get in the sheets after that day, you're sunburned, you stick, and you just kind of ruins the time. So I do maybe a little overzealous with the sunscreen, but I feel great. My skin feels good.
I never learn, man. I never learn. I'm good for one burn a trip.
Do you burn early? That's a lot of people's strategy.
Early burner.
Early burn.
Yeah, I don't do sunscreen.
Really?
I don't.
You don't look like a burner, though. I mean,
no,
you've got that Indian look to him already.
You could probably get a scholarship.
Yeah.
You should probably look into that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a great base.
Yes. Damn it! I got to go back then. I'll go back. Oh well.
I don't believe you. I don't think that you went to the beach.
I went to the beach at all.
What part? What beach?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. 30A, somewhere down 30A.
Okay,
we were
seaside.
Down. Yeah,
Rosemary Beach.
Yeah, we're close to there. Not Rosemary. The secret's out.
Yes,
that's where we used to vacation. And now everybody and their mother goes there, and so we were on a little different part of the beach. But we had front row seats. That's all you're trying to do. See the water.
The worst part about Rosemary, it's a beautiful part of the country. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful over there on the Panhandle. But just for me, the worst part about it is that it's Baton Rouge East.
That's all it is.
I mean, you know everybody. You see everybody. I mean, the reason why I'm trying to vacation is to get the hell away from everybody. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be noticed.
Well, just jog down the beach with your shirt off. Yeah.
That should tip them off. That shouldn't be an attention grabber. All right, so Friday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. We are going to talk to Ben Mintz in an hour. We will talk to Roman Harper. We will talk to Nathan Velasquez. All on this Friday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. It is the true day that camp will start for LSU football. Tiger's going to be on the grass today at 4 o'clock. We'll be out there covering it. We'll have a couple of people out there, so look for social media moving on the Jordy Culotta Show, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Facebook, any way that you keep up with us. We'll give you the latest from LSU's practice field as we will have the latest on day one on what it looks like for LSU. New coaches, new faces, quarterbacks, all of that stuff. Storylines everywhere.
Did I miss anything over the week? Something happened? Anything happened on football?
No. Everything good. Everything good here. as far as everything's concerned. Just kind of business as usual.
Just another day keeping an eye on LSU football.
Yep. Typical strategy from LSU and that crew over there going into the week. One thing that we will talk about is that ESPN's got an article, and a lot of being at the event last night, a lot of the sports fans within the room last night were not as much asking about football questions as they were basketball questions, with the latest piece that came out from Mark Slayball over at ESPN.com, saying that the NCAA is fast-tracking now these IARP cases that have gone in front of the independent counsel, and said that LSU should be up. In fact, a quote from ESPN.com says the case involving the LSU men's basketball program includes alleged violations at least 13 prospective student athletes and a projected 75 individuals who may have knowledge of and or involvement in the alleged violations in the case, according to a letter from external investigator Nicole Lamb Hale and LSU compliance director Bo Bonson. Heads up. They noted the enforcement staff had interviewed only 18 people before the case was referred to the IARP. The scope and scale of this investigation are broad and include allegations of significant infractions of NCAA bylaws, many of which allegedly occurred between 2017 and 2018. As such, are based upon stale or incomplete facts that must be validated by the CCU. According to the documents, the complex case unit was scheduled to complete its LSU investigation by July 31st and then issue a notice of allegation within 60 days. So we were in that window of what this ESPN.com article is referencing, as far as that 60-day window in which LSU should receive its notice of allegations, finally, according to this piece over at ESPN. Obviously, when you read this, this does not seem to be good. This does not feel like it's good. But the more you do read it, the more it sounds a lot of the same in which we have read in months and even years past up to this point. So before we dive all into that, let us shout out how we're brought to you each day. Majestic Coffee, DeliciousSips.com. Our coffee is presented daily by a locally brewed company at Majestic Coffee. Our water is True Blue Water, locally down here in Louisiana. That's TRUE, bluewater.com. Our phone guest, which all will appear today via the phone line in the 8 o'clock hour, Mintz, Roman Harper, Nathan Velasquez. All compliments of Metropolitan Health Group, Real Doctors, Real Solutions, Charlie Harvey, Jason Ramazan, the entire crew over there at Metropolitan Health Group. The absolute best. Real Doctors, Real Solutions. Check them out. And we have been telling you about Papa Spice, Papa Earl's, as you see the cup every day here from Papa Earl's, and you see the spice as a part of the centerpiece there. You can pick them up locally at High Neighbor, Calandro's, Mathern's, and of course we appreciate his support and sponsorship.
Is that cup one of one? Is that just for you?
One of one is what I was told.
That's what it seems like. Yeah, it does. That's pretty cool.
It is cool. It is a cool cup, man. It's just the logo. It's like you're holding a can of Papa Earl's spices.
I mean, don't do that.
No.
Don't get them switched. I thought Bo was gone.
Who? Bo Bonson. He is.
So he's named in this report?
He is, but, he was a part of this. So maybe this was the wick that was lit to get him out. You know what I mean? Maybe this was the
straw that broke the camel's back.
Maybe this was the scenario that they needed to move him finally. But yes, he is out. But he is a part of this.
So he's not out. He's around.
This has been going on for nearly 4 years. 3 years. It's still, when you read and when you talk to people in and around this, I know a lot of people that were interviewed for this, whether it be by the FBI or whether it be by the NCAA. And the questions that they're asking to to the people that they're interviewing is that they still have nothing. They really don't. You know, I mean, I will be anxious to see what the report says. Moreover, because of how long it has taken, to me says that you really don't have anything.
Still looking for something.
Yeah, just digging.
Right.
Just hold the line.
Yeah, just hold. Just
Shouldn't
keep
there
holding.
be some sort of time limit?
Absolutely. 100%.
There's no reason that it should be able to go on.
Statute of limitations.
Greg Sankey said it last week in his 2 weeks ago in his opening remarks to the SEC Media Day crew and Media on Hand when he was lambasting the NCAA. I've never heard him so forthright. I've never heard him so transparent. I've never heard him so honest in the public, in the sense of just talking about how self-righteous and how just de-sharpened the NCAA is. I mean, they're just a very much
a cat without claws,
a lost crew that cannot even investigate their own claims. And he was urging and asking for timelines, and there should be a window of consequence when alleged that there are violations, and there has to be some type of protocol put in place where a program like LSU basketball, whether guilty or innocent, cannot operate with a black cloud hanging over their head for over 2.5 years of what is going to be. What's the status of LSU basketball? I mean, even the NCAA, for as much as they want to stomp their feet and bang their fist on the desk and tell you how wrong LSU has been and how corrupt they are, they still have not given you anything back to say how, why, when, where, who even, right? I mean, it's still 13 alleged student athletes. Well, who? Give me some names, man. When, where? How did this happen? Who are the boosters? Who paid them? When did all this go down? How did it go down? I know that you've got that phone call in the wiretap, but outside of that, where did everything take place? Where did the money exchange hands? Where's the bank account that's bloated now? I mean, all this stuff that the NCAA has done for seemingly, 50 years is just gone in this case. I mean, it's just a lot of, well, he said, she said, he said, she said, he said, she said. Okay, cool. Where is the evidence? Where is the hard facts of LSU cheating? Where is it? Until then, keep this thing moving, man. And this thing has moved down the tracks nearly 2.5 years without consequence and without hard evidence and without anything that has come to light that has shown LSU to be illegal. Because I think we can all agree, right? If there was anything, and I'm talking anything, a credit card statement, a deposit, a withdrawal, anything that would show that LSU might be cheating, that would be front page news from the NCAA. For as embarrassed and as lost as they have looked in this investigation and in this case over the last 3 years, if they were to get anything substantial that they could make a case on LSU, or at least start the public singing on the LSU basketball program, that has been their strategy up to this point. And we've been talking about this now for 1.5 years. I mean, you can go back and find all of the video and the sound that you need on us talking about this on our last stop where we were before this podcast up to this point. If the NCAA had anything, they would give it to you. Their strategy is clear. They're trying to bully LSU into a public relations storm that they feel like they can't handle. And in the middle of it, they just want them to fire Will Wade. And if they'd have done that over the last 2 years, you'd never hear another word about this IARP. And that's fact. Because the facts of this case is that the LSU head basketball coach has made a mockery of the NCAA. He has exposed them more than NIL has. He has exposed them more than the transfer portal has. Will Wade has exposed the NCAA for how toothless they are before we were even talking about that, how lost they are on name, image, and likeness. I mean, think about what they have on Wade. They've got Wade speaking into a telephone that is recorded of him allegedly talking about paying players. And since that day, they have been able to produce zero facts around that conversation. Zero. They've had help of the federal government, and they've deployed all of their officers to Baton Rouge. The NCAA has had a makeshift housing project and office on LSU's campus for the last 2 years. There's people within that organization that have lived in South Louisiana during that time. And the latest article from ESPN is that now you're going to hear about what the NCAA has found. Okay, but if they'd have found anything, I guarantee you would have already heard about it. So all of this stuff is, again, more fluff, more smoke, more, hey, look over here. LSU's been cheating. How? Where? When? Who? Where's the bank account? Where's the cash? All the text messages. You got all the phone bills. You got everything that you've asked for. Probably 2 or 3 times. And there's nothing to report. You know just as well as I do if there was anything out there, and I mean anything. If they had a name, if they had a booster, if they had an amount of money, if they had where the money was exchanged, all that stuff. The NCAA would leak that, have that on the crawler on ESPN, have it headline news on Yahoo Sports, and have it front page on ESPN.com. Just because they're so embarrassed. They're so embarrassed over the last 2 years, 3 years, that you've got this guy speaking on the phone where it sounds like he's like blatantly cheating. And they can't find anything around that. I mean, I know I've told this story before publicly, but the NCAA and the federal government crawled up Javonte Smart's mom's ass. Any crack, crevice that she had, they were there. They wanted to see files. They wanted to see banking statements. They wanted to see bank accounts. They wanted to see everything. As compliant as LSU is, and we all agree, LSU is probably overly compliant more than they are non-compliant, right, from an athletic standpoint. For as compliant as LSU is within the NCAA structure and what it means to put athletes out there, you think Javonte Smart would have played as fast as he did if LSU thought that there was anything out there on Smart? It wouldn't have been an NCAA decision to sit Smart. LSU wouldn't have allowed it to happen. Because of Bo Bonson, because of Miriam Seeger, all those names you always hear about of being roadblocks to LSU athletic success. Javonte Smart was cleared within 2 games. He missed 2 games his freshman season dealing with this. He leaves as one of the best defenders and most steals of all time after 3 years of playing. He's played 3 years and never had his he never had his status in jeopardy other than those 2 games he missed his freshman season when this story first broke. And since then, we've learned nothing. Nothing. There's been nothing new. And the federal government and the NCAA has lived in Baton Rouge since then, trying to find anything, a free meal, a car ride, free gas, anything that you could point to and say, there it is, got it. There it is, finally. They've been eating for free over there. This booster's giving them free gasoline in their cars. They're driving a car they're not. Nothing. Zero.
Is Will Wade's name just like in pictures circled on a wall somewhere in the NCAA office that they're just circle suspect number one, like they have to catch him. That's going to be like their last order of business before it even, because now in the age of name, image, and likeness, all this kind of goes to the wayside.
Yeah, I definitely think that Will Wade has a feeling within the NCAA offices of, this guy is our Billy the Kid. He's the one that we can't catch. Okay. We can't get him, and he continuously almost mocks our organization by continuing to dominantly recruit, continuing to have success, and continuing with this attitude of, I don't give a damn. I know that he is very embarrassed by the attention that he's brought to university. He knows that there is a negative tone when you speak of LSU basketball publicly, just because of what that scenario involved and what the attention that brought. But as far as the competition towards the NCAA, his hands are in the air. Come get some. You know what I mean? Y'all have been swimming around this program now for 2.5 years, 3 years. Talk to everybody that means anything to the program. And
nothing. Another
article comes out of, hey, the NCAA is going to act on it. Okay, good. Go ahead. Do it, man. Can't we say in today's climate of college sports, if the NCAA even acts now, does anybody even pay attention? Really? Does anybody pay any attention, or is the NCAA really that much of a threat to what they propose or what they penalize in school? It feels like there's such a dead ship, that they are rudderless in the way that they move and operate, that if they came out and publicly and said that we're going to punish X, Y, and Z school for doing this, that they would almost be like mocked out of the room, laughed out of the room. Do you think that anybody takes you serious enough to go through with that? I understand that they still have ownership and they still have say-so in the championship models that are out there, so they can still affect you, but just by the feeling that they have around sports and what their position is, they definitely don't fulfill it. They don't feel like the governing body of college athletics by any means. And to see this stuff still coming out is, without LSU being a part of it, if I'm at Mississippi State, if I'm at Arkansas, if I'm at a school that doesn't have me, I'm laughing at it. Is this stuff still going on? They're really still talking about this stuff? That in itself, to me, is embarrassing, right? I wouldn't even put out public statements about this just because it would cause a reaction of, damn, they hadn't gotten this figured out yet?
Still working on that one.
They're still working on LSU basketball and Arizona and Will Wade and Sean, all those stories that were popping 4 years ago, 2017, 2018, that they're still talking about this stuff without any penalties to report. It's still the story it was in 17.
I just imagine them going into the office and what am I going to do today? Well, we got the LSU basketball thing still on the desk, and they're like, well, we'll get to that one later. Put out a little article, call Pete Thamel, call somebody to write something up. He'll just copy and paste. But would you say that Will Wade is the reason that the NCAA became exposed a little bit? It feels like he was the first one to kind of go,
Yes, I 100% believe. Well, I think that he had great mentors in front of him that told him, hey, this is how you need to. I'm telling you that Bruce Pearl is the hero on this thing. For as far as LSU basketball and Will Wade is concerned, Bruce Pearl is the guy that called Wade and said, bro, who the hell is your representation? Who's your lawyer? Why do you have this guy? He doesn't know what he's doing. Here's who you need to call. And once Pearl put him on the new lawyer, things started to move and shake and turn in a direction for LSU of where they are now. But it was more of Pearl going through his situation at Tennessee and learning, they sat me down and they scared me so much. I told them the truth. And once they had the truth, then they were like, oh, thanks, man. But I didn't have to tell them anything. There's no subpoena power. There's no oath I'm taking. You know, I mean, I could just sit there and say, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, there was a barbecue in question at Tennessee that Bruce Pearl had a couple of recruits over to his house outside of the recruiting window, like during a dead period or during a period where you couldn't have face-to-face. That was the allegation to Bruce Pearl at Tennessee, that he had a recruiting function outside of a dead period or inside of a dead period, and he had two prospects that were there. They showed up. They sang a little bit when they got to a different campus. They turned Tennessee in. NCAA shows up in Knoxville. They sit Bruce Pearl down, and Bruce Pearl says, you know what, I'll just be honest with you guys. I did it. You're right. I did that. I shouldn't have done that. I knew it was wrong, and we thought that we could get away with it. Bam. Penalized. Bruce Pearl's out. He's on probation. He's got a show clause of however many years it was at the time before he could get hired again. All for just telling the truth. And Pearl learned in that situation where I don't have to lie. I just don't have to tell them. Because they don't mean anything. They don't have any power. It's just it's a mall cop asking you, why'd you park there? Because I wanted to. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that you buck authority, but I'm saying when your authority has no teeth, that you can look at him and say, I don't have to tell you anything.
Pete in your parking lot?
Yeah, right. I mean, and from Wade's point of view, his silence helped him get to a point where, you know, he got enough advice and mentorship to say, just tell him to F off. Really. Tell him to get out of here. They don't have anything. And then you started to see that at Kansas, and you started to see that at Arizona, and you started to see that at Auburn, and you started to see that at LSU, where people were just saying, no, we're good, but I don't need to tell you anything. You figure it out. How about that? That's your job. That's what you want to do. You scare everybody. You're always out to intimidate everybody. Why don't you just figure it out, NCAA? Especially if you've got this smoking gun like you claim to have on LSU. Right? I mean, they seem like they've got this, they've got Will Wade with his hand in the jar, man. They've got video of it. They think that, I mean, but you don't hear anything. You don't hear anything. All you read is Pat Forty and Pete Thamel and Mark Schlabach saying that stuff's coming. LSU better watch out. There's a 60-day window where they'll get their notice of allegations. Okay, you know what? At this point, if they do, my God, it's about time. Right?
What if you just toss it in the trash? I mean, you just say we got it.
But even when you do receive it.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter.
Thanks. You know, I mean, I'm telling you, and I've got no confirmation on this, but the more you read and the more you talk to people, it seems like the football program's a little bit more worried than the basketball program is about all this stuff coming out. And we don't really talk about that publicly. On what if it's the football program that gets dinged here and not the basketball program? Whether it's the Odell Beckham stuff, whether it's the Our Lady of the Lake stuff, whether it's some of the stuff that's going on within the culture of LSU football, it seems to me that that's more of a concern of what the penalty will be or what the reputation lasting mark will be than this basketball stuff. This basketball stuff has almost become
a joke.
It's not a joke just because when you're on a college campus, anytime this stuff is happening, this is not funny, because this has got dire consequence if they're able to get across any type of penalty or consequence.
But when's the last time the NCAA even did that? They haven't unleashed a penalty, and it feels like 5 years. It feels like they know that they're kind of rudderless, like you said. It feels like they haven't done anything in a while. Like, I remember when in like 2005, 2006, you would hear a story every other day about the NCAA putting out some sort of punishment. It seems like in the last few years, they've kind of been mum is the word because the secret's out.
Well, and I think more than that, people have realized we don't have to talk to you.
Right.
We don't have to tell you.
The strategy's there.
Just figure it out. If you think that we're cheating, then tell us how we're cheating. But we're not going to give you and tell you what you're asking for, because they've shown in the past that's the only time that they act. That's the only power that they have, is when you rat on yourself, when you sing on yourself, when you tell your story. And finally people are like, I'm not talking to you. There's nothing to tell you. I mean, you've got no power. You've got no subpoena. You've got nothing that tells me I have to sit down and talk to you. So just keep it moving, man. I don't know what's going to be. I don't know what's going to come out of this, but I can tell you it smells and seems a lot like what we've read in the past, and a lot of heads up. It's coming down for LSU. LSU's about to get popped. All right. Okay. I mean, until that day comes, I'm not going to buy into this stuff. I'm not even going to entertain it as I sit here 33 minutes later.
Entertaining it.
But it's a joke. It really is. It is a joke. All in all, whether it's ruled on or not, this process has been an absolute. It's been a stand-up comedy hour for 3 years. I mean, really. I mean, the fact that they're still talking about this. I mean, could you imagine, as a business owner, as a project manager, as somebody who oversees a department, that one of your major projects is still incomplete 3 years into starting it, and talking about it as if it's day one? Like, bro, finish it. Get it done. Let everybody enjoy it. Let people experience it. Until then, shut up. Quit bringing it up. It's embarrassing. Either rule or move on. I got no need for an updated article on the IARP of the NCAA and where they stand with the LSU case. Either rule on it or move on it. And until then, it's business as usual in the SEC, not just at LSU, in and around the country, in and around the conference. You know, people are, why do you bring up examples of other schools? Why don't you just accept what LSU is doing? I'm trying to. I'm trying to. We've accepted everything that's been out there. But I'm just curious on why people don't look at what's going on in Durham, North Carolina, when it's proven that Zion Williamson lived in a rent house that he paid $5,000 a month for 9 months that he was on campus at Duke, when he was paying $750 in rent in South Carolina the year before that. To me, that is blatant cheating. That is evidence of cheating. That is what the NCAA is looking for. And I'm not calling out Zion. I'm just calling out Duke. I'm calling out the other schools. I'm calling, if you want to crawl up LSU's ass and you want to look into what's going on with Javonte Smart, well, then you better get over to Durham, North Carolina and find out how they got Zion Williamson. Right? Especially when there's allegations out there that he took cash before the summer he got there and they lived in a rent house that he didn't own. They went to Javonte Smart's house, the NCAA and the federal government. Javonte's mom still lives in the same house that he did when he went to Parkview when he was in 7th grade. Still today, when he's a part of the Miami Heat. Now, I'm not saying that just because they have a new house or don't have a new house that they're not cheating, but usually that's a big tip factor. Same car, same bank account. All that stuff stays the same. Usually those are the key signs of cheating happening. Zion's living in a near 5,000% raise of rent of what he was paying year to year from his senior year to his freshman year in college, and nobody in his family got a raise. Nobody in his family got a better job. Nobody in his family received any more income than they did the year before. How's that happen? What's going on there? I'm just curious. I mean, if we're worried about Javonte Smart down in Baton Rouge, what's going on with Zion out in Durham? Too much money being made over there from that basketball program. Too much attention comes to the sport because of the blue. We're selectively doing this. Just curious. Just curious if that's how it's going to be. It's a joke, man. This whole thing's a joke. This whole investigation has been a mockery. I mean, has one organization ever been exposed as much as the NCAA has in really just one project, just one scenario? I mean, this NCAA basketball investigation with the federal government has cut the legs out of that organization. Feels like they went to Johnson and Spillers and got all their teeth extracted. They got no bite.
And it feels like they created I've never even heard of this, the IARP. It feels like
they developed this from this scenario, from this subject, from this map. The IARP was developed so they could send. It looked like cases that they couldn't figure out or couldn't come to a conclusion on to another panel to see if they can't find something.
Well, and to see if maybe this has like more legitimacy to it. Like, well, if we just name something like, intimidating, the IARP is coming after you. It's like they're trying to put teeth in. It's like they're trying to give you something like, all right, well, this council's ruling on it, and that's higher than the NCAA. It's like, we don't even know what this is. Y'all are just invented it.
So wait, the NCAA, the organization that is known as almost like Stalin's, this overarching dictatorship of how they say whatever they say goes. They can't find anything on this stuff. After 2.5 years of investigation, they've crawled up the LSU basketball program and they can't find anything. So now they're going to develop a committee within their own organization that is dedicated to finding penalties on team. I thought that's what y'all did.
It's a select group of people.
I thought that's what your whole operation was.
It's the Navy SEALs. They had better ones. They just don't use them all that often.
Oh, okay. I got it now. So now with the IARP is on it. 2.5 years. Now we're screwed. We're real screwed because they're going to find something that you guys hadn't found over the last 2 years, and y'all been crawling up everybody's ass.
It's too close to AARP.
Y'all been living down here in Baton Rouge for 2 years, and now you're going to form a new committee because the people that have been living here haven't found anything, and these group of old white men will.
It's going to be the oldest room in the world.
I mean, just give me this is a joke. Just shut the organization down at this point. Just shut it down, lock the doors, and come up with a new structure and reappear back after football season,
IARP.
man. It's such a joke,
How white is
man.
that room?
Oh my God.
The AARP. I can't even do it. It's just old white men just foddering around.
I mean, seriously, you might as well go to the senior living home on any corner in every SEC community or college town, and it be deemed the IARP. I mean, really, fellas, what y'all talking about here this morning? What jam y'all like on your biscuits, or what school you're going to penalize?
I'm still frustrated about the double dribble.
It's amazing, man. It is amazing that they believe that they still have this voice, this power, and still think that they can swing this sword. I mean, it is unreal to think that there is another piece out on the LSU basketball program of what's about to be. Daily, we're brought to you by Falaya Real Estate. Falaya Real Estate is online at falaya.com. Get in touch with them there. Remember, you can sell your house by yourself and save thousands. It's do-it-yourself for selling your home. If you need exposure on the MLS, Zillow, Realtor, and all the major sites, they have virtual tours, push-button offers, document automation with e-sign. Welcome to Empowered Real Estate from Falaya Real Estate. Online at falaya.com or download the app today. over at Falaya inside of your Apple or Google app stores and find out how Barrett Blondo can help you out. 225-939-6153, 225-939-6153, or online at Falaya.com. We'll come back, close out hour number 1, and get you set up for hour 2. We're going to talk to Ben Mintz at 8 a.m. We will talk to Roman Harper of the SEC Network at 8:15, and as always, Nathan Velasquez will close out our Friday here in the second hour as we talk to Nate up in New York City and get set for some of the Hollywood storylines going into the weekend. Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, Jordy at jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. Jordy at jordyculotta.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022, 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, Jordy at jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. Jordy at jordyculotta.com to learn more. Jamie Harding inside of the Bunker app. Is it fair to say that the only reason it went to the IARP is because they don't have anything substantial? Why else would it be? I mean, where else would it go up the ladder, Jamie, if they didn't have anything to report on from the initial investigation? I mean, they had been investigating LSU for almost 2 years before it went to the IARP. I mean, why else would it go there? I mean,
somebody give me a name of anybody that's in that group.
Let's see.
Does it exist? Are we sure it's real?
Aliens, bro.
I don't know who's in it.
It's aliens.
That I know that they're white.
Yes, very old. Talking about Viagra.
And Bob Cousy.
Bob Cousy. Tell you what, old John Havlicek, Hondo could play, man. He rode his bike to the arena. He used to catch the train with a basketball under his arm. He'd ride the subway to the Boston Garden back in the day.
I remember when it was a peach basket.
You know,
that was basketball.
You know, Havlicek shot under 40% his first All-Star year. And
Volume shooter.
They compare that guy to like Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
The funniest thing about basketball is when they invented it, they put that thing 10 feet high and they said nobody will ever touch that.
Oh, yeah.
No chance.
Made the court
so small.
Yeah, right.
They're kissing that rim now.
Yeah.
Their faces
they're putting candles on it and blowing it out.
Let me know what you find on that IARP, if there's any names on it.
I wonder if we're going to get on a list for exposing them.
I mean, at this point, I can't believe we're not.
Members.
All right, coming up here in the second hour, we'll talk football. LSU gets on the football field today, which means storylines everywhere. We will talk and we will be out there at 4 o'clock this afternoon. We will have all types of social media for you, so make sure you're following the Jordy Culotta Show on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. We will have all of our media that we get from practice today through the weekend on social media. We'll have reports for you throughout the training camp schedule as LSU and Ed Ogeron and the players will be meeting with the press. The Jordy Culotta Show got into the NIL game yesterday. We should have some exciting news to tell you about, whether it breaks here today or whether it pops over the weekend. But everything formally agreed on behind the scenes and just kind of getting the paperwork done, which we will feature a couple of weekly interviews with a couple of players on the squad. We're fired up on the two that we are going to have for you here weekly. Can't yet make the announcement publicly as far as the names goes, just because the paperwork and everything's not officially signed, but all of it from our end has been sent over to their representation, and hope to get a signature here today. Everything's been verbally agreed on and looks good from what the offer is, and hopefully we'll be able to tell you about that today. We'll talk to Roman Harper coming up here at 8:15 this morning. Harp's going to stop by and tell us some of the storylines around the SEC to watch out for. It was good to see him over in Birmingham a couple of weeks back. If you have any questions from in and around the campus, anything outside of LSU, we will be able to ask him specifically about LSU. But if you have any questions about any other teams or your LSU questions for Roman Harper, jump inside of the bunker or jump on Facebook and get inside the comments. Hopefully everybody's been over to JordyCulottaShow.com. Shout out to Nevadis and Randall Knockman and their crew. Very, very pleased to what the product looks like now online at JordyCulottaShow.com. The work that you can now do with from yourself, if you're looking at trying to listen to us in the background or keep the video opened in the background, you should be able to do all of that through JordyCulottaShow.com and have it playing kind of in the back while you get your work done, or you're able to kind of go through your smart device, go through your phone, go through your PC.
Drive.
Yeah, so hopefully that helps you out. We love the feedback. We appreciate all of the interaction. Make sure you like, share, comment on what we're doing here every single day, and that'll get us in front of more eyeballs, and for that we're very grateful to you. Go Chevrolet, remember, drives us. Support those guys, as they are our title sponsor here, but we have great supporters on this show. Go Chevrolet's down in LaPlace and over here in Baton Rouge with their used car lot. So we appreciate everybody for supporting us, supporting our supporters, and for being here with us every day.
I'm not sure if y'all touched on this, but I know obviously the Myles Brennan thing happened while I was gone, but does that even scratch like your top 5 of LSU like stories going into fall camp? I feel like there's always one that happens maybe every 2 years where it's just an absurd storyline that comes out, whether it be Ryan Perrilloux, Tyrann Mathieu, I mean the Jordan Jefferson stuff. Does this even scratch like the top 5 for you?
Of all time, or for this team?
Of all time.
Of all time.
Like what's your top 5 or like top 3?
Top 3 would be Mathieu would be 1.
Without a doubt.
Tyrann Mathieu in 2012 was thrown off the team, I believe, August 10th. So just a couple of days into training camp. I'll never forget walking into that press room, and it felt very similar, and I'm not comparing the stories, but one of the saddest days I've ever had in this business, and one of the days that I will always remember. I remember the weather. I remember just the feeling. I remember almost like what people were wearing. It's that vivid of a memory was the Wade Sims press conference. It was just extremely sad. I mean, it was obviously it was so depressing and sad, and to be in that small press room with Will Wade, the entire team, the administration, just hours after that tragedy had happened in North Baton Rouge on Southern's campus, was just very surreal. It was very eerie. It was very sad. It was just a very sad day that I will always remember. And in non-comparison to the story, but comparable to the feel in the room when you walked into that press room on that 2012 August day, and Les Miles was in there, and Joe Oliva was in there, and a lot of the administration brass and executive team was in there, and the entire press room was filled up. It felt like a very, very cold, somber, sad day. And the opening remark from Myles was that Tyrann Mathieu was no longer on the team, and there was a gasp in the media room. I mean, you would expect that from a fan of a crowd full of fans, but in a room filled with media members, where like usually rule number one is that you have no expression, no reaction,
objective.
There's no you're very neutral in your stance. When Les Miles uttered those words to start that press conference, I mean, people were taken back. People were, what? Huh? I mean, it was just, you could feel the room almost pop. So Tyrann Mathieu, to me, would be number one. Jordan Jefferson in that entire story.
Just a saga.
It was more than Jefferson. I mean, it was like the Shady's deal, right? I mean, it was kind of what it was titled. In my opinion, would be up there. Second on the list, and I'm trying to think of a third storyline that was as big as those, but there's nothing as monumental as those two were. I guess this is there,
Perilou.
Yeah, Ryan Perilou. Did that happen in the summer though? Right? Yes. I mean, it happened before fall camp. He never took a rep in camp that year.
But I was talking about things in that same vein.
Yeah, I mean,
like
that's a huge story.
What the hell?
That's a huge story, and then this Myles Brennan thing for just the I was talking last night. I was on in Atlanta yesterday afternoon talking to some of the sports talk guys over there, and they are on the similar wavelength that I am in the sense of, look, Myles Brennan going down does not affect you in the approach you had for your first team, for the starting roles on this squad. I think that it's been known, and in fact, we can almost be more blatant with it. Max Johnson was going to be the quarterback of this team. I mean, Ed Ogeron as much said so 3 weeks ago on his WWL hit when he said that the entire locker room, or the majority of the locker room, knows who the quarterback is. So does the coaching staff. It was Max. They wanted to give Myles an opportunity to compete for the starting job, but when it all shook out, there was a feeling that it was going to be Max Johnson and Myles Brennan on the depth chart. That was going to be 1 and 2. So from the overall approach of your best quarterback, you don't lose him, but what you lose is you lose the peace of mind of just real quality depth of a guy that has played on the level, and you don't have a lot of fall off in between 1 and 2, especially with the pressure that you can put on that position and the plays that you can call. I mean, you can pretty much call the same game with both of those guys out there, in the sense of there's no pages of the playbook that are off limits. Both of those guys are smart, cerebral enough that they understand what Jake Peetz and Mangus are trying to do. Now, they're two different styles of players, but you've got access to the entire playbook. I'd imagine that Garrett Nussmeier just probably knows a third of the playbook right now, just because of that's where he's naturally supposed to be. I mean, he's young, he's learning blocking schemes, he's learning communication, he's learning cadence, he's learning how to call the play in the huddle. I mean, he's learning very basic steps of being a quarterback at LSU. You've got all that stuff built in with Max Johnson and Myles Brennan. So when you lose one of those guys, as far as a member of your depth, a piece of your depth chart, it changes almost your philosophy to the approach of the game, the way that you game plan. How much do you see RPO with Max Johnson now? I know that it'll be a part of the game plan, but will it be as much of the game plan as Peetz and Mangus and Falk and Mickey Joseph and those guys wanted it to be when they thought that they had two healthy quarterbacks that they could count on from an experience standpoint? So how does it affect the play calling? How does it affect the game planning? How does it affect your confidence as a play caller for your quarterback, knowing that now you're a snap away from a true freshman really taking meaningful snaps in big games that you have to win to achieve your goal of being a championship level squad. So it's an enormous story. It's huge. It's massive in just the waves and the ripples that it creates for the rest of the offense, the rest of the team, the rest of the coaching staff, the coaching staff. So it's a tidal wave that crashed into LSU's front door on Tuesday morning when he required surgery.
Slept on it.
You can overcome it, but it's massive.
And it's almost a little bit like, would you say Burrow in 2018, because they didn't run him as much, and you saw him in 2019 where they just took the reins off, and that was a huge part of the game plan, was Burrow's ability to either go on designed runs or kind of extend the play. And it seemed like in 2018 he didn't do it all that often, and then 2018 did all that often. In 2019, you saw a lot of those designs with the Joe Brady offense where he would call a quarterback draw on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, and the majority of the time it worked. Like that probably sealed the national championship against Clemson. So I wonder how much you can't do that as much with Max Johnson now, and that was going to be a big part. No, you can't expose him,
and people don't want to talk about the story, but Burrow was hurt. He got hurt running against Clemson. I mean, he had a rib problem going in. He got hit on that rib, and he was affected in that game.
Oh, he shoot everybody off. Don't touch me.
He wasn't coming out the game.
Oh, hell no.
It wasn't going to affect him that night, but they had to do some cleanup after that game to get him ready for the draft and get him ready for all that stuff. I mean,
I bet he didn't feel a thing that night.
No. No, he shouldn't have. Remember, daily here, we are brought to you by GoFlow IV and Spa. GoFlow IV and Spa is located right there on Jefferson Highway. I'd advise you to get over there and check out some of their services, man. It has been incredible to be over there. We've been with them for a month, and I've seen already the benefits, whether it be the sleeping, whether it be the daily energy that you have over at GoFlow IV and Spa. They're Baton Rouge's premier medical spa specializing in IV hydration treatments with vitamin infusion. They are a medical spa that specializes, as we said, in IV hydration. They're Baton Rouge's premier IV spa, and they welcome the community that they serve over here in Baton Rouge. They're located in Jefferson Highway across from Hebert Specialty Meats, right there in the middle of Jefferson Highway, in the middle of the city. Or you can find out more information online at goflowiv.com. GoFlow IV Spa Health and Wellness. We come back here to talk to Ben Mintz of Barstool Sports. Penn Gaming coming down to Baton Rouge. They'll be over at LeBear's now with their sports book. Was over at LeBear's last night, and it was it was evident. It was everywhere. You couldn't not see it. Barstool logo, Barstool merchandise, Barstool memorabilia everywhere. So you can feel it coming here as football season here, gambling season's here. So that's why we're linking up with Mintz right here next on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, Jordy at jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. Jordy at jordyculotta.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Hebert over at Hebert's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Hebert's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, Jordy at jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. Jordy at jordyculotta.com to learn more. Welcome back in here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Noah is here. Lloyd is back. Katie is a high school mom, fresh off of her trip to Colorado, celebrating David's birthday. Congratulations. Your cell phone light is on. You're totally at it. You're all over the place.
You're not on camera. Don't worry about it.
Your mascara is running down your face. You're still crying. How much did you cry this morning?
I mean, Sophie was like, do not take my picture when I get out of the car. So
yeah,
of course
right.
I was like,
yeah, right. You got the cell phone light on and the flash.
I mean,
How could you embarrass her on day one?
It's
yeah, right.
school.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm a mess. I'm just a mess.
Get the bus brother to pick her up.
I know.
High school start today for little Max?
It starts next week.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is he going into high school?
Yeah, he'll be a freshman.
Jeez, bro. Wow. Benjamin Mintz is up in Barstool. He's up in New York City. I was at LeBear's last night. I was telling the crew here this morning, Mintzy, you cannot ignore it. There is Barstool merchandise everywhere. There's Barstool memorabilia everywhere. You can feel it. Penn Gaming is changing the way that LeBear's is going to look now with the new model of Louisiana legalizing sports gaming and gambling. Good morning. How are you?
Good. Love to hear that. Just so excited. Just feels like, man, every week's just something else at this Barstool. I mean, last week the Arizona Bowl, and then yesterday, man, huge news.
Yeah.
I wasn't as familiar with the score, the app. I'd heard of it that Barstool Penn Gaming bought, but man, it's they're out of Toronto, out of Canada, but it's going to be a big deal. Yesterday, Penn purchasing the store, which is going to push our technology to the forefront of the industry with the sports book for the next few years. So people are really excited about that. And, man, just a lot going on as always. Excited to get back to love what's going on with the Barstool sports book stuff. Still haven't heard a time frame exactly on when the Louisiana sports gambling's going to happen yet. You probably know as much as I do on that front. But, man, it's coming, and I know LeBear's Lake Charles somewhere too.
No, it's definitely coming, man. I was at Baton Rouge last night over at LeBear's, and I mean, there is boxes of Barstool gear and memorabilia on the floors. Whether it was in the sports bar that we were at last night before the event, or walking out at just the little like the little community store right there in LeBear's, you could see all the memorabilia that was coming in the boxes with the Barstool logo on it. So exciting times down here. In South Louisiana, all over our state, when you think about sports gaming. Mitzi, you mentioned it. Barstool feels like they are taking over sports media just from the outside looking in. You are in the belly of the beast. You were one of the teeth on the monster. Do you feel that?
Yeah, well, it just blows me away how ambitious Dave and the company is. I mean, literally, it's every day or every week there's something huge. It's like insane. But yeah, it definitely feels like it. And the bowl game thing too. I'm real curious to see, how the streaming and all that goes for the future, because I mean, you start talking about getting into broadcasts and games and stuff. That's a whole different deal. And it blows me away.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like you guys are cornering all of sports, whether it's gambling, whether it's the games, whether it's the coverage, the social media. I mean, it's very much a tide of Barstool everywhere you look. So congratulations again on being a part of that, and Godspeed, my friend, on whatever is next for that company, because it seems like the rocket ship is moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour right now, and everything you're touching seems to be gold. Last night, NFL football cranks up in preseason. Did you play it at all? Do you play the preseason, and how are you looking at this NFL?
I didn't play it, but I did enjoy sitting back and watching it. Just seeing football on TV was great. I mean, obviously, the first game of preseason, you're not going to see Big Ben and Dak dealing with that strained shoulder, but I definitely had it on my TV for an hour or two while I was kind of researching football season, and it was good to see. I hate to sound like that. I mean, I've been following the Olympics, but I haven't been that too into it. I'm just getting ready for football season and starting to get my calendar ready too, and it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, man, it was good to see La'el Collins back in action last night for the Cowboys. Jabril Cox looked fantastic in his preseason debut with 5 tackles and 4 of those solo. And then Kelvin Joseph is a corner for the Dallas Cowboys as well, who look good out there running around. How about your schools, Mintz? Ole Miss, and they just had Arch Manning on campus last week, and his recruitment is about to get wild as he is beginning his junior season. But what is the feeling around Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss as they start camp? LSU on the field today. Schools are starting to get on the grass and starting to work out. Where do you sit with this Ole Miss team going into the season, that they probably have the best quarterback in the conference, maybe in the game? But what's the feeling on Kiffin going into year 2?
I mean, just excitement, and that's this is the most excitement going into an Ole Miss season since I guess it was Freeze 2015 or 16. And that's just so fun to have that back. I mean, when you look at the NCAA stuff, 2017, 18, and 19 were all disasters. And, people a year ago were excited about the Kiffin hire, saying it'd be fun, but there were no expectations at all. That roster was decimated by NCAA stuff. But, by no means is the roster, got 3 levels of depth or anything like that yet. But the top end of it is good. And they've done good in the transfer portal. The offense, the running game should be excellent, too. That was the thing about Ole Miss last year. Everybody talked about Matt Corral, and rightfully so. But Ole Miss actually led the SEC in rushing last year, which I have never heard. I mean, usually when Ole Miss is good, they can throw it, but they can never run the ball. So there's great balance. I think the defense is going to get better because it can't not. I mean, it's impossible to be worse. I memean, but, I think there's overall a lot of excitement. Vegas likes this. Over-under at 7.5 seems kind of high. Because, 8-4 I think is certainly very possible. But, I don't know. 5-5 last year. I think 7-5, 8-4 would be a step in the right direction in year 2. But the biggest thing, too, Jordy, I always say this, man, Kiffin, it's just an entertaining product. And, that's a lot of what sports is supposed to be, is entertainment. I know it's going to be really, really fun. The game's going to be wild. They're going to be off the handle. And, also great showcase opportunity for Ole Miss playing the Monday night game. Playing Labor Day Monday night against Louisville in a game Ole Miss is an 8-point favorite on the fast track in Atlanta. I got to feel pretty good about that opener. So, yeah, lots of love. And it's just good, man, as an Ole Miss fan. Y'all always hear me joke about it, but I'm not ever a guy that's like, oh, Ole Miss is going to win every game and have like crazy expectations. I just like it being fun and entertaining, and right now, that's certainly the way this is headed. So, I couldn't be more pumped about it.
What did the Myles Brennan story do for your feeling around LSU going into camp?
Man, I hate it for Myles because it just seems like he's just been one thing after another for him, and in this day and age of the transfer portal, he stuck it out at LSU, waiting on a shot last year, looked pretty good, got hurt. Now this unfortunate incident happened. As far as this year's LSU goes, though, obviously that hurts the depth behind the quarterback. But, I don't want to say it helps because that's a hard thing to say because I don't want to say that. But what will help is Max being named the starting quarterback and getting all the reps and not having to deal with the quarterback controversy now. Because now he's the guy. He looked really good the last couple games of the year, the win at Florida, the win at home over Ole Miss. Him and Butte have a phenomenal chemistry already, and you got to be excited about that building in their sophomore year. And so, this could help them early in the year, and that, a quarterback controversy can kind of tear a team apart. And now Max is the guy, and he's also young. It's great that he's getting all the reps. So I guess that part of it's good, but I still hate it for Myles.
Anything outside of the SEC you're paying attention to as far as football goes this season? I mean, is there a storyline to watch outside of the conference or a team that you may have your eye on that could make a run here?
Kind of looking around. I'm curious. Well, a lot of people are talking about Iowa State, like how good could they be at the Big 12. I'm curious to see if they can sustain the level of success they had when they almost won the Big 12 last year. But, outside of the SEC, obviously the Clemson-Georgia game, I've got triple starred just like everybody does week one because, when you look at Clemson doesn't play anybody outside of that Georgia game. So that being in Charlotte, I'm super excited about that week one showcase. The Ohio State I'm curious how C.J. Stroud's going to do at quarterback for Ohio State because obviously they're a huge, overwhelming favorite in the Big Ten. That's a crazy story about Quinn Quinn, the quarterback from South Lake Carroll.
Yeah,
him heading up there. The Pac-12 is actually, look, don't get me wrong, there's no dominant team at all in the Pac-12, but I am curious to sit back and watch that this year because there's a little more depth. Like this UCLA thing that LSU's going to be dealing with week one. They've got a freaking ton of returning starters. They lost a lot of close games last year. UCLA also has that week 0 game against Hawaii to kind of warm up. That's a tricky week one game for LSU. How are people feeling about that?
Well, look, I think that this is going to be Chip Kelly's best team, and he's got his back up against the wall. They're 0-6 in non-conference games with Kelly, so they're looking for a big out-of-conference win. They're going to be motivated for that game. I just don't think that they can block LSU up front, Mintz. I know that their offensive line is their strength, but they haven't put their hands on Jaquelin Roy and Ali Gay and B.J. Ujulari. I mean, they hadn't blocked those types of athletes, and when you got to do that for 3.5 hours, I just don't think that it's going to be advantage UCLA.
Yeah, I think LSU is going to be a lot tougher at the line of scrimmage this year, too. And I do agree with you on those guys being super talented. Brandon Walker is just really beating drum being anti-O at LSU this year, and I've been fighting him on it pretty good bit on Pick Central. He's going hard at him, and I disagree. I think LSU is going to have a bounce back year. I know that the schedule is kind of tricky, but I have LSU at 9-3 this year, and getting back to top 2, top 3 in the West. I think last year was obviously O made huge mistakes with the Bo Pelini and Linehan hires, and he'd tell you that, and that was a huge part of it. But it was just a weird year with the COVID thing. I think the team's got a lot of talent. They're going to be tough with the line of scrimmage, and I don't know. I feel like we're going to see a bounce back LSU year. I'm excited to see it.
Mintzy, what's happening this weekend?
So last weekend I went to New Haven, had a big time at those Joe Russo's Almost Dead shows. This is the time to see live music, late summer. I'm going back to New Haven again. I got a great relationship with that Westville Music Bowl. They're hooking me up with free tickets. I'm going to see Billy Strings, who's the emerging superstar in the music world, on Saturday. And then I'm going to this monster Grateful Dead tribute Sunday with like Lettuce and Warren Haynes and a bunch of people, Keller Williams, Grace Potter. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm getting my live music fixed in while I can. Going to eat some good pizza probably. And, that's what I'm going to do. Do some live music again next weekend. And then also one other big development, maybe moving to New Jersey, Jordy. Looked at a place in Hoboken. Looked at a place in Hoboken, New Jersey yesterday. New Jersey has legal online poker. New Jersey's about to have the Barstool Sportsbook in the next few weeks, it looks like. And there's rumors we may have a gambling house in New Jersey this fall. We're going to do that instead of Philly.
Look out.
So, yeah, just New York. I mean, I'm adjusted in New York, but the rent prices have just gotten out of control here. They were lower during COVID, so we're heading to the suburbs. So, but yeah, so that's kind of going on, and I'm dealing with that too. But just trying to get set here before football, because it's about to just crank up so big in the next few weeks, and I'm excited about it.
Mincy, you mentioned the live music thing, and I would just wonder how this works at Barstool. As long as you blog about it, does that just count as work?
No, I don't. The live music's not work. I mean, yeah, I'll blog about it. My thoughts on the blog thing. If I think it's interesting and people care, I write blogs about it. I know that's a very basic way of putting it, but Barstool hadn't really touched the jam band scene stuff, and so I get a good response when I talk about Fish or Panic or the Deads because I'm kind of the first one in on it. But no, I mean, I'm lucky that Westville's hooking me up with tickets and stuff, and so I'll definitely take advantage of that. But I'll be paying for my trip to New Haven this weekend. It's definitely not. But it will not be going on the Dave Portnoy or Bart Company card. I can tell you that.
I expect you to be super weird this weekend, Mintz. Don't let us down. We'll talk again soon.
No, I never do. And but I'm looking forward to that this weekend. And just really trying to crank up my studying. Though we also got announced that. I'm the fan. Me and Stephen Shea are the Fantasy Football podcast, which I'm super, super excited about because that was just something that's full circle for me because I was the first fantasy hour in Louisiana on the radio and mixing it up 5 years ago in 2016. And so that's really cool. And so, I mean, this fall is just going to be monster and swamp, so I'm going to enjoy, a little bit of the downtime now while I have it.
Oh, yeah, Mincy. Go get him, bro. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me. Look forward to next week.
All right, buddy. Nothing says studying like the football season than a weekend of hallucinogens.
Right.
I'm
looking at this real hard. I'm going to the great.
I got to dive into this thing, man. I'm rolling my sleeves up and taking mushrooms. I got to get after this. I got to get after this NFC South, bro. Roman Harper is next here talking SEC football. He's one of the best as former Bama standout, former New Orleans Saints standout. And rocks that silver hair as good as anybody, bro. About what? I've asked him many times how he's gotten his good looks.
About when did it start to turn? When did he?
We saw it happen, dude. I think it was towards the later end of his career during the Saints. I mean, he started to get the curlies on top of the hair, then it started to work his way into the beard.
How old is he? Is he a premature gray?
No, he's probably my age. He's probably 41, 40-ish.
I feel like he might have been gray at Alabama.
We could do a little research on that. Yeah. Great looking.
No, hey, it works.
Great looking.
I would like a little pepper.
Great
maybe.
looking. We are daily brought to you by AdvantaClean. Remember, ADVANTA clean.com. Water, fire, or mold, you smell it around the house or office, get in touch with Bradley Lynch over at AdvantaClean. Roman Harper next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.com to learn more. All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show. Good stuff from Ben Mintz up at Barstool Sports. We go from Mincy to one of my favorites over on the SEC Network. Former head buster for the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers. Great, strong safety. Played for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now a part of the SEC Network. One of the images that will always live on for the New Orleans Saints that you will see 300 years from now will be Tracy Porter returning an INT in the Super Bowl versus Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts, and Roman Harper kneeling down on one knee with his hands extended to the air, praising the man above for the New Orleans Saints crossing over and getting that Super Bowl win. It is one of the most incredible sports pictures that you can ever run across, and it is our friend Roman Harper. In fact, I was sitting in a in a local grill in Tuscaloosa just a couple of weeks back and glance over my shoulder, and there's Roman Harper making a big hit on a Tennessee running back to save the game during his days in Tuscaloosa. Still beloved in T-Town. Ro, good morning. How are you?
Jordy, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for that, man. And that Super Bowl play, man, that was crazy. So we had this double call on Dallas Clark. So my man Darren Sharp was supposed to, double him from like top down and inside, and I was low and outside. And he just runs right up the field. So in my mind, I was beat, and I saw my man Sharp take off another way. So when I just heard the crowd start going crazy, I was just thankful that they didn't throw it to my guy. So I was just like, oh my God. In my head, I was in full panic mode. I thought I was giving up the game winner. So that's why I was so thankful. Yes, Tracy, great play, but I was just so relieved that I didn't give up the game-winning touchdown.
Oh, man, those are the stories that you love that make things great. You never knew. You thought he was celebrating. He's just really thanking God you didn't see Dallas Clark wide open running behind me. That's right. Roman Harper here with us. NFL football started last night. How good is that for somebody who played the game? Are you as anxious as all the fans are to watch ball like everybody else was yesterday and kind of frothing at the mouth waiting to watch it?
No, I didn't even watch the game.
Yeah.
I watched some Olympics, and I was doing some stuff around the house. It's preseason. Obviously, the NFL tells us that preseason doesn't even matter that much. They cut the games down. They're not letting anybody do anything. So when the regular season starts, I'll get tuned in, of course. I've been a football fan since I was a young kid. So I always love football. I always watch it at every level, whether it's high school, college, at HBCU, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
I watch all of it just because I just love and enjoy the game.
Harp41 is where you find him on Twitter. Roman Harper, last one in the NFL, then we jump into the SEC. You came into New Orleans in 2006, the year that really changed the entire franchise, whether it was your draft class with you, Reggie Bush, and that crew, or whether it was Drew Brees and Sean Payton showing up. Drew Brees is no longer with the franchise. When you look at New Orleans and do not see number 9 under center, how do you see this year playing out?
I think they'll be all right. I use the same analogy that I do when I look at Alabama. Alabama loses guys every year to the NFL, and Nick Saban still remains the same. I think Sean Payton's one of the best head coaches in all of the NFL, and his play calling, his mastery on offense, his understanding of timing, tempo, all the little things, and also the heartbeat of that locker room. I think the guys really enjoy playing for Sean. I think Sean really enjoyed getting the guys going. You've seen the dance clubs after the game. Not everybody does that, and Sean is a special bird, man, and I'm just really excited to see what that offense looks like outside of Drew Brees as well. For so many years, that's all you ever heard about, Drew Brees, and now you get to another chance to actually see how great of a coach Sean can be offensively, and also giving somebody else some other credit. They also got a great running back in Alvin Kamara, the 2 best tackles in football. They will be okay. They just have to find their way through this whole thing.
Earlier this week, LSU lost a member at quarterback to an off-the-field injury that required surgery. Myles Brennan went down off the field. Surgery could be out 6 to 8 weeks. What does that storyline mean for LSU, in your opinion, going into fall camp, which they get out on the field today?
Well, personally, I hope Myles is doing all right. I saw his tweet saying that he's recovering and the surgery went well. I'm also happy that he got his deal done before the injury.
Yeah, that's right.
So often we talk about that in NFL all the time. It's like, man, I'm trying to get my deal done so I have some sense of security. I'm glad he got his big truck before the injury, like a week later, or not even that long, a couple of days after there.
Yeah,
it's crazy how that just kind of happens. But now going forward, it's all about Max Johnson. It's all about building that offense around him, his strengths, understanding he's a more athletic quarterback, a more mobile quarterback than Myles Brennan was. But the throws are still going to be the same. You got to look up and you got to find Keyshawn Butte. You got to look up and find some of those athletic receivers that you got. And can LSU consistently run the football on their terms? Not just pounding the ball against Arkansas with a light defensive line, but when everybody in the stadium knows that you need to run the ball, can LSU effectively still be able to run the ball? Because those are the best teams that LSU has had, is that they're able to still be able to physically run the ball on their terms. And now the play action pass comes a lot more alive.
Who do you have in the West behind Bama? Do you have A&M or you have LSU?
I got A&M right now. I think Ole Miss is a sleeper team as well. I have to see LSU's personality. If they're the old LSU took a dramatic drop last year. It wasn't so much in terms of talent, because when you're LSU, when you're Alabama, when you're Clemson, Ohio State, those teams don't have drop-offs in talent. It's all about personality and leadership and those intangibles inside that locker room. That was missing last year. I need to see LSU of old. And if they have that, they're going to be in the conversation as well for that second, third tier team in the SEC West. But right now, until I see them play and line up and do that, I got Alabama, I got A&M, and I got Ole Miss as my sleepers in the SEC West.
What's the respect for A&M coming? Because I'm talking to a lot of people over in Hoover, and it feels like A&M is getting the respect that they've been looking for in the conference as far as being just a competitive group that can challenge for the Western Division title. Where is that coming from? Is it coming from recruiting, or is it more in Jimbo being there now, kind of set in stone as the head coach?
Well, you give Jimbo credit because he has done really well in the recruiting department. Also, defensively, they bring back 9 out of 11 starters and the number one defense in the SEC last year. I think they gave up 4 touchdowns the last 5 games, something crazy, or maybe 5 the last 4, something crazy like that. And they bring all those guys back. So defensively, they're going to be really salty. Offensively, it's all about the quarterback play. And looking at them last year, we saw, Texas A&M finally figured out how to win ball games, and it was because of the play of Kellen Mond consistently. And now you got Haynes King and the Calzada kid. It's going to come down to those two, and Jimbo will make the right decision. But it's because of those things that Jimbo and Texas A&M is getting the credit that they deserve. They're winning some games. They find out that running the ball is what really is going to pay off for them. So they bring back Isaiah Spiller. It's all about the offensive line and the quarterback position. If they can win games because of the quarterback like they did last year, they're going to have a real chance to be the SEC West champ.
You mentioned Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, and we're talking to Roman Harper here on the Jordy Culotta Show from the SEC Network. He's at Harp41 on Twitter if you want to follow him there on social media. You mentioned Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. They've got the best quarterback in the conference in Matt Corral, and Lane Kiffin may be the best play caller in college football. What makes them a sleeper, in your opinion, going into the fall?
So it's not like Lane Kiffin has all of a sudden recreated the wheel or gotten so much better as this ball coach, right? Like, his play calling is immaculate. Everybody knows it. We've already crowned him that. So when you're at the top, you don't get to go any higher. But Matt Corral in his second year in the system will be better. They still bring back some really good firepower on offense, whether it's wideouts, running back. Defensively, they have to find some type of playmaker at any level. They really, really struggled at stopping any and everything last year. But I like to be a sleeper because of this scheduling. The way people don't understand, if your schedule is right, you got a chance.
Right.
Arkansas, no matter that, I know they're bringing back tons of guys, but Arkansas' schedule is beyond tough. It's the hardest schedule in all of college football. So they're not going to be as good just because of that part. Ole Miss's schedule sets up good for them. Their hardest game on the road is at Auburn. Everybody else they play is at home, outside of Alabama, which nobody was expecting them really to win that game anyway.
Right.
But the manageable games that they say that, hey, we can win, whether it's LSU at home, Auburn is on the road, Texas A&M is at home, the scheduling really works out for Ole Miss. So for me, that is why I'm pushing them up the ladder and some other teams down the ladder.
Bill O'Brien, what's the effect he has on this Alabama offense? Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian have been the last 2 play callers in that same office. Now Bill O'Brien, a head coach last season in the NFL. What's the impact he has on Bryce Young and this offense?
Well, there's never been a question about Bill O'Brien's ability to be able to call plays and really get an offense going. It's all about, he struggled in the NFL when it came to being the GM. That's just what that was. And if you listen carefully what Nick Saban talks about, especially at the media days, he said it's Alabama's offense. Bill O'Brien, he had to come in and teach Bill O'Brien what to do. Now, if you want to add on to that, change the little words terminology-wise, that's fine. But this is what we're running, and this is what has been successful for us the last 3 or 4 years. Bill O'Brien understands that. He's a smart guy. He's going to come in and run a lot of the same things that you've been seeing Alabama be successful running the last few years and they will continue to build upon that. Bryce Young is a lightning rod in a lightning in a bottle. He is so talented. He has everything that you need at the quarterback position. So it's really about those two coming together, finding that synergy point. And when it's time to really unleash Bryce Young, cut him loose and let him go out there and do what he can do. I also want to see the question marks on the outside of receiver. Who's going to be the next crop of guys to come up and step up and make the plays for him?
Is this Kirby Smart's best team that he's had?
I mean, it's his best quarterback.
Yeah. Best
quarterback. And if you got a quarterback, you got a chance.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm putting Georgia at the top right now, especially of the East. I think it's them and Alabama. And we're going to find out a lot about Georgia week 1 versus Clemson. And because the biggest question mark I have for Georgia is not quarterback, nothing on offense. It's how do they replace all the talent that they lost in the secondary? They lost their top 5 coverage corner guys last year, whether it's the draft or graduation. They also lost their leader in the back, Rich LeCount, who played safety for them. And I know what it's like, being a safety and just having to replace guys. It's not just a fill-in-the-blank type answer, and it's all going to work out. Communication is so key in the back half and understanding what your compadres are doing beside you and just really playing together. So I just know what it's like to, when you're a group, everybody's together. And it's also the quickest way to lose a game is over the top of the defense.
You were a Pro Bowl DB playing in the NFL. You played safety, but when you look at Derek Stingley at LSU, how good can he be? What's the ceiling on a player like him, and what's your expectations for him in his money season going into his 3rd year at LSU?
Well, it's amazing what money and timing and all those things can do. Look, first of all, I'm going to lead out by saying this. Derek Stingley's been my favorite corner in college football since he pretty much stepped on campus at LSU. I thought last year was a downturn for them, but I thought defensively everything was bad. So I'm not just going to blame that young man. And there is no ceiling for him. He is that good. He has the speed, the height, the playmaking ability. He likes the ball in his hand. He has a little showtime in him, and he does tackle. So I'm all in on Derek Stingley. I said that last year, and I'll continue to say that again today until he gets his name called on the draft.
Last one, Rove. We'll get you out of here. It's great to hear from you. Great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Absolutely,
Thank
man.
you.
Keep up the great work on the SEC Network. You're over in Charlotte. Joe Brady, new quarterback. Panthers, Matt Rule. What's the expectation for that NFC South team?
Well, the expectations are getting better. I think they're going to be capable this year. Matt Rule has to continue to learn and understand. He's getting his own guys in there, some younger guys, and these guys are competing. You're hearing really good things about training camp down there. And I'm just looking forward to it. I think Sam Darnold, whether people like it or not, they believe he's an upgrade, so I'm going to believe it until I see otherwise. So whatever they want to do, I'm all in with them. I'm just rooting for them. And nobody was expecting Matt Rule and his Panthers team to really compete for a championship within the first 2 years because Tom Brady and Drew Brees are still around in the NFC South. So once those two are done, well, you got one gone now, so now you still got a chance. But Tom's still here with all the Buccaneers that they brought back. So, a 7-9 season is not a bad thing. Well, what is it now? 7-10 because it's 17 games, or 8-9, whatever those things are. You guys can do the math. But I think of middle of the road. I'm not expecting a division championship, but I am expecting improvement, especially situational. Even with Joe Brady calling those plays, all right? 4th and 1, I bet he gives it to Christian McCaffrey this year. I bet that. And he ain't handed off to the fullback. That's how you get better. Yeah. It's not just putting it on the players all the time, but the coaches have to improve too.
Typical Alabama football player asking everybody else to do the math problems for him. Roman Harper joining us here on the SEC Network. Great stuff as always, man. We'll talk soon.
Hey, I was a business major, baby. We don't take a lot of math there, dog. Appreciate it.
He's a Super Bowl champ. Later, buddy. All right, man. There's Roman Harper checking in from the SEC Network, a New Orleans Saints, a Super Bowl champ, and a part of the SEC Network. We'll be checking back in with him throughout the season to get his expertise. Thanks to him for coming on. When you get him going on Stingley, and he got going on Stingley last 2 weeks ago at SEC Media Day, there was about 5 or 6 of us sitting around just talking to Harper and getting some thoughts, that type of stuff, just kind of peppering him with questions around the conference. And I hit him with a Stingley question, and I mean, 10 minutes later, he was like, all right, next. I mean, he went on for 10 minutes on Stingley, just how good he is, on what that does for a defense when you got a guy like that, on what it does for Eli Ricks playing on the other side of him, what it's like to be a safety behind a guy like that. I mean, it was just really good insight, and you got a little bit of that here this morning from Roman Harper, so I appreciate him stopping by here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Daily, we're brought to you by Bear Specialty Meats. Bear Specialty Meats is located 2 locations, one in Baton Rouge, one in Prairieville. Prairieville location right there in the Dutchtown Shopping Center. Stop in and see them. They got great selections of deboned chickens there, stuffed deboned chickens. They've got great selections of steaks, fillets, T-bones, also the boudin. Stop in and grab the boudin today over at Bear Specialty Meats. They've got lunch here in Baton Rouge if you want to stop and see them on Jefferson Highway, and as well have a freezer full of great selections. Bear Specialty Meats, home of the deboned stuffed chicken in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway, and in Prairieville right there on Highway 73 next to Dutchtown High School. Next, we talk to Nathan Velasquez, get caught up on Hollywood. A lot of stuff happening with Velasquez to talk to him about, including Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney. We'll ask him about some of those stories and more coming up here as we close out the week on the Jordy Culotta Show. Coming up here next, we will talk to Nathan Velasquez, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.com to learn more. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Welcome back to a Friday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, Geaux, Chevrolet.com. Get in touch with Lee Carney, Nick Richard, that entire crew over there. Let them set you up here with a new car out in LaPlace or a used car model out in Baton Rouge on the corner of Sherwood and Coursey? No, Sherwood.
Florida?
Sherwood, Florida. Sherwood, Florida.
Sure.
Welcome back, Kate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When's lunch?
That's right.
$5.
See you at 11:30
Building
p.m.
blocks. See ya.
Sunday night. Nathan Velasquez is our Hollywood insider. We talk to him every Friday. I feel like we just talked to him yesterday. This week has flown by. Good to talk to you, Nate. Good morning.
How's it going, you guys? How's it going?
Doing all right.
Hey.
Doing all right. What's going on in New York City, buddy? Are you trapped inside of your house?
In the sinkhole?
Hey, I'm fine. I'm doing fine in New York City. The attitude is pretty weird around here with these. We've got like some coming restrictions with vaccine identification stuff. I don't. It's a contentious issue. Hey, I'm happy to say in New York City right now, cases not bad at all. Deaths are way down, which is incredible. Like it seems like people are doing what they need to do to keep themselves safe. All for anyone to make, whatever decision you need to make. Full respect, very personal decision. I won't stay long on it. Keep making people not be allowed to go into certain parts of the city feels overbearing. Tough to defend for sure, but it's a weird feeling. No one's really happy about it here.
Are you?
But that is what it is.
Are you still social media brawling?
Not anymore. That calmed down on Sunday, but the review for Moonlight actually came out on Wednesday. So the next review actually is also going to come out on Wednesday. But I did a little more digging just as I was prepping that video. It quieted down on social media, but the stuff that I was finding, like what I said last Friday about how much trouble the Oscars are in, like the more that I just kept digging into the numbers, the amount of people, how much they care, the amount of people that are watching these movies, it got worse and worse and worse. And there was actually a news story that came out, I think it was also on Wednesday, that the Oscars announced changes to address the actual problems that I was talking about on the show last Friday. And everything, I hope, things turn around. I hope they make the show more entertaining, but all of the decisions are based in just very political decisions. And with all the metrics that you track, I would say I don't think that's even something that people care about. I think the most important thing is a entertaining show. I mean, if you remember, I think the most political moment the Oscars have ever had was whenever Marlon Brando in 1973 sent Sasheen Littlefeather, I believe I'm pronouncing her name. Yeah. Yes. She went up and she said Marlon Brando is refusing this Academy Award because of the treatment of Native Americans by the film industry. Badly received by the audience at the time. And the Oscar ratings were still huge the next year. The movie that Marlon Brando was refusing the Oscar for was The Godfather. Wow. So if you're awarding things that people are watching, at the end of the night, people look at it and they go, hey, The Godfather, I love that movie. Sure, it was political, but hey, I watched the movie, I had a good time, I'll watch next year. If you turn people away and based on the decisions they're making, I hope it doesn't keep happening, but it's not encouraging news.
Clint Eastwood is directing another movie. He's starring in it as well, and he's 91 years old.
Ryan Macho.
People like in the industry like you are, what is the thought of Eastwood and what his accomplishments are and what he continues to do within theater?
I think Clint Eastwood's approach to making movies and his approach to entertainment is a lot like the golden age of Hollywood, and that was defined by creative people have firm contracts with a studio and actors, directors, and I mean, in Clint Eastwood's case, both. He pretty much says, yeah, you got me for 15 movies. I decide what 8 of them are. You decide what the rest of them are. And it's very strict in terms of we're going to film with a tight schedule. We're going to get it in on time. Like it's 50% creative, 50% business. And he's been doing that ever since he was directing movies. I think back in like the 70s was the first one that he made. He's got a great relationship with, I would say, the business side of Hollywood, because he makes movies for the cheap. He is very efficient in the way that he works, and he's still got huge star power. And I mean, I don't know how to explain the age, but more power to him. That is incredible that he is still directing, producing, and starring in his own movies.
And from somebody who is I know you're not a critic, but you watch it with a critiquing eye. I mean, his work still is elite, right?
Oh yeah, I 1517, which came out a few years ago, was not great, I would say. However, I mean, still, we're talking about a filmmaker who's working at about, I think, 87 years old at the time. Movies like Changeling, Hereafter, Invictus, Jersey Boys, like, he's still putting out work that you probably wouldn't even expect from a filmmaker that's in their 40s or 50s or 60s. They still hold up incredibly well. And if you enjoy following directors around, this is the thing Quentin Tarantino talks about. When you start getting to 65, the level of quality has a stark drop off. Mm-hmm. So again, really, really, like, he does a great job.
Do you think that's as much as him or his team being creative around him?
Well, I would say that's probably 75% of what being a director is establishing that solid team. And I think I can't speak for every single filmmaker, but the older that filmmakers get, the ego seems to get in the way a lot. They think that they can do a lot more than they really can. Yeah. And they start getting people on the team that probably are not as good as they used to be in their heyday, because technology obviously is always evolving. But again, I think that because he puts an emphasis on getting things done quickly and being efficient in the way that he works, and that he's made money for Warner Brothers specifically for decades, he has access to an elite team. And by making good movies at this stage in his life, it also shows that he's definitely not let his ego get out of control to the point that it would affect the work.
He hosts the 5-Minute Critic. That is on YouTube. He's also on Twitter at Incredible Mr. Nat. This is Nathan Velasquez, who joins us every Friday here on the Jordy Culotta Show, talking some key points in Hollywood. Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney. Why?
Yeah, so Black Widow came out earlier this year. It was supposed to come out, I don't quite remember. I think it was summer of last year, but it was one of the movies that was pushed back because of the pandemic. So clearly all of the contracts, the filming, the editing, like, that was all done, well over a year before. The contract was signed a long time ago, before Disney Plus had its place in the world that it has right now. And so pretty much in the contract, Scarlett Johansson had, I'm going to get a certain amount of money, and there's always usually a tie-in for the big stars for box office. So Scarlett Johansson is pretty much saying, I get whatever percentage of however the box office turns out. Pandemic happens, movies get pushed back. We're in 2021. It's at a point wherever audiences are coming back, a little lackluster, but audiences are coming back. And the box office is not anywhere near as high as a Marvel movie is supposed to be. Scarlett Johansson, we don't know the numbers, but she for sure got a lower paycheck. And so the suit is pretty much saying a large part of why the box office was low was because people were able to buy this on Disney Plus. So the pro in her case is pretty much, if they're able to show that enough of the box office was specifically brought down because of Disney Plus, then they might need to cut her a check. The con would be, I think, that whenever you sign the contract, if it's tied to box office and the box office does not do well, then at that point Scarlett Johansson is a victim of the pandemic in the same way the rest of us were. So they're fighting it out, but that is what the fight's about. I think it ties into something that affects viewers a bit more in terms of, and it happened with Space Jam, I would say recently, is that people don't know if a movie is a hit because of streaming now. A studio can say, oh yeah, everyone watched Space Jam, everyone watched Jungle Cruise, everyone watched Black Widow. But whenever LeBron tweets out hi haters, he's not tweeting out anything about HBO Max subscribers. He's tweeting out about the box office. So I think that this type of lawsuit is probably going to have to push studios to release all of their information whenever it comes to 17 million people watched the movie over streaming this weekend, and that equals this much money, and that's just probably going to be, if you want to evolve the business, getting a star like Scarlett Johansson to sue Disney will probably evolve the business.
Speaking of Space Jam, audiences in Mexico, are they pushing back on the popularity of Space Jam? Am I reading this correctly?
Oh, no, it's actually good news for LeBron, at least. So in America, the box office for Space Jam, I think right now is 64 million. You know, as America hasn't gone to the theater very welcomingly for Space Jam. But last week alone, in Mexico, audiences paid $110 million just in a week to go and see Space Jam. So they almost doubled everything that America has given this movie. I honestly did not know that Space Jam had that level of pop culture appeal in that market, but apparently it does, and it looks like Space Jam. I know we talked a few weeks ago about it also lackluster, but it looks like it's going to be a hit for LeBron.
The Green Knight comes out next week. What do you expect on this film?
Well, actually, The Green Knight is out right now, so definitely, I would say if you're someone who enjoys, if you ever enjoyed reading, the King Arthur stories, this is about one of the knights of the Round Table. It has got that feeling you get from those stories, very old, very ancient, filled with magic and adventure. And what I found surprising, especially from a Hollywood movie, the theme throughout the movie, and I mean this through all the creative decisions, all of the characterizations, even the way that it ties up at the end, is all centered around honor, and not in a way that I know you might hear that and you go, "Oh wow, that sounds outrageously cheesy," but it makes the movie incredibly powerful in a way that I was really blown away by. That's going to be the review that comes out next week. So subscribe on the channel, 5 Minute Critic. But I would say that's out right now this weekend. Definitely go and check that out.
Neil DiBenedetto inside of the bunker says that speaking of movies, if you have got HBO Max, then you need to go watch The Suicide Squad tonight. It is 10 times better than the last Suicide Squad.
Last night.
Anything you're streaming, or do you have any input on the Suicide Squad on HBO Max?
I am so excited for this. The news was actually so bad about the first Suicide Squad. I still haven't seen it. I don't really know if I want to. People are saying you don't really have to. James Gunn makes the funnest movies. If anyone out there is a James Gunn fan, watch Slither that he made. That movie is so weird, but it's his style completely. I can't wait to see this. I'm really, really excited to see this, and I don't think I have time today, but if I can tomorrow, I might sneak away to the theater and see this one.
I saw it last night in the theater, and it is exactly that. It is just fun. Like, it's just a big roller coaster ride of like color and everything, and it's just ridiculous. So
how do you compare it to like the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff that he did?
A little bit in that same vein, but much more vulgar.
Nice. There you go. That sounds like a ringing endorsement.
Nate, have a great weekend. Watch out for sinkholes. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Y'all too. Have a good weekend.
Hi, buddy.
Thank you.
There's Nathan Velasquez, the 5 Minute Critic, checking in this morning from New York City as he is set to go. Congratulations to our friend Hunt Palmer, as it has just been officially announced. Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill will co-host the Hunt and Hill show from noon to 2 on ESPN Baton Rouge. So Hunt Palmer, who is a former co-host with me on a morning show on that same station, I know is very passionate about media, communication, and sports, and has been looking for an opportunity, been waiting for this opportunity. I don't know if the boat had sailed a couple of years back because of a professional move that he had made into the insurance sector, but now that his schedule allows it, Hunt is going to kill this, man. He's going to be great at this. So congratulations to both Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill, former Redemptorist and LSU standout and a Baton Rouge native, two good guys getting a great opportunity over there in the middle of the day on ESPN Baton Rouge. If you missed anything from us this morning, remember all of our stuff is podcasted, and that is compliments of RMB Builders. That's Rhett Bourgeois and his crew. So check out RMB Builders online if you need a custom design home, if you need anything remodeled around the house, if you need a total rehaul reconstruction, RMB can help you out. rmb-builders.com. Thank you to Nathan Velasquez. Thank you to Ben Mintz. Thank you to Roman Harper today. It's good to see Lloyd back here. We will have some coverage for you on good to see Katie back as well inside of the UDL. We will have some coverage, our coverage for you of LSU fall camp this afternoon. In fact, we're going to meet here as a team once we go off the air and just kind of divvy up responsibilities on how we're going to cover this stuff. But one thing you can count on is social media images. You will see pictures, you will see videos on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. So make sure you're following us all on our social media platforms, as we will have our LSU football coverage starting today for you officially from the facility. That is only if it is dry. Any days that it is raining, it'll be closed off to the media. But if it is open to the media and it is sun shining, we will have a presence out there. So make sure that you are all tuned up and following us on social media. At Culotta Show is the handle. And check out the new website, JordyCulottaShow.com. JordyCulottaShow.com is where you find us online. For everybody here, we'll be back with you Monday morning, but stick around with us on social media throughout the weekend. We will be peppering you with videos and images from LSU football training camp, which starts today on the field at 4 o'clock. Have a great Friday.